have an age difference. We have life differences.
This is how you should live your life.
I got the faith, because to get the faith,
Got it. Well, let's jump into this.
this is the Old School, New School podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Old School, New School podcast. I am Will Charles Egan, and as always,
Chris Meekins.
we're very intellectual people here.
Very intellectual.
We're very smart.
We have just spent. What time did you get here? 2 hours ago?
Almost 2.5 hours, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That went by quick.
Wow.
Well, it's been 2.5 hours, but she was probably here for 2 hours.
Okay.
But we spent the last 2 hours talking very intellectual things about books.
And a gal that was she worked for you understood what she did. I had no clue. I just knew that she was somebody.
She was an editor for a publishing company, and then after moving here to Florida, a ghostwriter for books.
And what do they call? They don't call them ghostwriters anymore.
Well, I mean, call it what it is.
Ghost Rider is in Top Gun, isn't that?
Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Right, that's something else. We're intellectuals here. You're bringing the IQ down, Chris.
Okay, bring it up.
Bring it back up.
Ghost Writer.
Ghost Writer, yes. And that was essentially the person who collects all of the research and does a lot of the general outline for, probably most likely nonfiction book. For example, a celebrity or somebody has a book, an autobiography or something.
We'll use Randy Bizet, our pastor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We love talking about him.
We do, because we hope one day that he'll be on our podcast.
And maybe he might say hi to me one time.
He might look at me.
Wait a minute. Aren't you that guy that's with Will?
Oh,
he'll know
man.
Will's name, but he'll go,
right.
Yeah, you're that old guy.
You're the old fart with that redhead, right? That's who we are to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you take someone like Randy, where they take all their messages, all their conference, and they pull this information together, that's
so much material.
Could you imagine how much work that is?
I mean, now I understand why she's like, this is so lonely and isolating and it takes hours. Because it's what her process is you take a public speaker, in our example, Randy, you take every sermon that he's ever done on a subject or just from a period of time. Every sermon, every talk, everything that's recorded, you transcribe it, and then you have somebody, the ghostwriter, who then takes all of that information and they try and pull from it and they assemble it, and then the actual author looks over it
and goes, that's no good. That would suck.
Or they go, seal of approval. So technically, yes, it's Randy's book in that he spoke all of those words, but they had somebody that they hired to assemble all of these words from these sermons into a book format, which then gets sold.
Yeah, see that? If I ever write a book, it's going to be this big.
That's about as good as it gets, and it'll be about this size too.
Yes.
But for example, as she was talking, I was reminded this, honestly, probably was done the exact same way.
Yeah, because I'm sure Brother Lawrence didn't sit down and write out a book.
Right. Again, this chapter right here is called Second Conversation. Martin Luther, the great, Protestant who broke off from the Catholic Church, a lot of his books were, transcribed table talks that he would do. He would do these big round table discussions with people, and he would give these hour-long talks, and there would be somebody there writing it all down, and so when you see a Martin Luther book on a shelf, it was more than likely like this, just a long talk, a bunch of long talks assembled by a ghostwriter that's now in a book form that you can purchase.
So let me just say this. It's like you would talk to this gal, and she's sweeter, she's older.
Yeah.
She's probably
Awesome.
my age.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, here you're sitting there and you talk to them in church, and you're talking, and they're talking blah 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 like anybody else. But then you sit down and you find out what they actually do, and and again, I was in the top 95% of my class.
Right. I think it's the other way around, but yeah.
No, I was in the top 95% of my class.
You were in the top of the 95% of your class.
I was 95th out of 100.
Exactly. You fool. You can't fool me. I know what that means.
So anyway, but here you're talking to this person that's, I mean, you've and she worked her way up the ranks, and she told a story of how she didn't want a job, but she interviewed it for it, and God used it to launch her into this career where she's got some pretty well-known writers under her belt.
Absolutely, yeah, because she was, she said in this, little part of her personal testimony that she was just obedient to apply for a position that she didn't really want, which then they immediately after putting up the job description took down. The job didn't exist.
So maybe one day I will be referring that you're my brilliant friend, the writer.
Oh, yes.
Old Will, what's his face?
Will Charles.
Egon.
Egon. They'll misspell my name.
He gone out of my life. He's gone out of my life. So you that are new to our podcast, sorry.
Yeah.
It gets better.
We promise.
But Will is a writer by nature.
Yeah.
Just as a young age. When you were 12?
Pretty much, yeah. I was 11, 12, 13 years old when I started in middle school.
And he's got 2 books that he's already written that are sitting in a file on his computer.
In multiple files because I'm paranoid.
And one's 1,000 words?
One's 90,000 words.
90,000 words.
The other one's 150,000 words, which is way too long, and I need to edit it.
And so one of my strength is not writing.
Clearly.
Nor communicating.
You use ChatGPT to assemble this.
Shh, don't tell that to people. That's private. We're going to have to block that out of the thing. Okay, no. But my natural gift is hooking people up. I'm a networker.
Mr. Networker.
It's just what I do. I meet people, and for whatever reason, and I'm not being nosy because it's not like I want to use them for anything. I mean, why would I ever want a publisher? Why would I?
What are you going to use with that?
But I find it interesting.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I meet Will, and we're talking about his book, and I'm like, hey, I know this gal that she worked for a publisher, and why don't we have? So we had lunch today, and they got hooked up, and she was able to give him a ton of information and wisdom, and do that. And so there's people like me that like, I don't get anything. Hopefully I'll get a page in his book if he ever gets published.
You'll get one word.
I'll get a free book out of the deal.
Yeah, you'll get a signed copy.
No, you're not going to sign it. You're going to I ain't signing it. You got to give me more.
Yeah, you got to buy us a podcast studio before you get a signed copy.
So anyway, but it's what I do. I've done it my whole life. It's just like, I just happen to know this guy. Let me introduce you. And then they start talking, and I back away. And next thing you know, they're best friends, and they forget about me. And I forget them. I've been, it's just, but it's my spiritual gift of networking and bringing people together, and I love it. I feel so blessed today that I was able to get you with someone that had wisdom about publishing.
And I'm very grateful for it.
Speaking of which, our topic
is wisdom.
Well, this is really
We're getting good at these transitions. We still got a ways to go, but we wanted to talk about...
And we're good at the transition. It goes downhill from there.
Yeah, once we transition, that's how you know it's time for everything to plummet.
Let's see. Where's another channel that I can...
All right, let's watch another YouTube video. But we wanted to talk a little bit about...
the sermon today.
The sermon of wisdom. Because wisdom is a crucial part of the Christian faith. And you hear this word tossed around a lot. What is wisdom in the Christian sense? Is it the special superpower that I get the moment I'm saved? Do I have to ask politely for it? Do I have to just learn it? What is wisdom, Chris? Because clearly you're so wise.
Well, they used the same verse that we did last week for physical health. It says, It said,
It said, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature.
In favor with God and man. And so he grew up in wisdom. And so this week they kind of like, hey, he was in the temple when they remember. If you read the Bible, they left after the Passover feast, and they forgot him 3 days. They
forgot Jesus Christ for 3 days.
I thought I was a bad parent.
Yeah, really.
I often thought, I guess it was a different time.
Leaving the Son of God behind for multiple days.
Although we did lose Jesse, our son, in the mall one time during Christmas.
Uh-oh.
And I'm telling you, I don't know if I've ever freaked out more.
Well, you lost him for 3 hours. And
no, it was like 3 minutes. And he was like 2.
Oh.
And it was packed, and my wife's super paranoid. Anyway, so they lost him for 3 days. But when they went back to find him, he was in the temple learning. Yeah. He's like,
he was teaching.
Wisdom, he was teaching.
Yeah.
And so wisdom is, it's a biblical, is that what I'm trying to say?
It's a biblical quality to people, but does it mean that I have to go to 4 years of college to earn it, or do I have to just magically snap my fingers and I'm wiser?
I don't think Jesus went to Jesus
University. He was Jesus University.
He was Jesus University. No, it doesn't. Wisdom wisdom is a guy on the job site that has been doing the same thing for 30 years and knows all the little quirks. Like you ever go to were you ever on a mission trip where you did construction or anything else like that?
No, but I know lots of people that, they go to, we have a few that go to Guatemala where they'll build houses and things.
Yeah, and you'll go there and you'll learn that, wait a minute, this isn't that easy just to throw a house together.
No.
This isn't that easy to, we're going to put up a fence, and next thing you know, it's like, okay, we're going to tear it down and start over.
The wind blows and it's gone.
So wisdom is, it's just knowledge of experience? I don't know.
Yeah, you could say that. Well, one thing that I do know is that wisdom comes from God.
Okay.
Would you agree that all wisdom comes from God?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay.
And he also talked today in the message. He's like, who was that? Solomon was the wisest man in the world. Mm-hmm. And they talked about that verse where God told him to ask for whatever you want.
Yeah.
And what did he ask for?
He asked for wisdom to rule better. See, that's the thing, is wisdom isn't knowledge. Knowledge would be like, I know that you bang the nail with the hammer and it goes into the wood. Right. That's pretty simple. I know this equals this. Wisdom, I hear a lot of the times, is the application of knowledge and how to use it well. Like, there's different levels of
You're so much smarter than I am.
No,
Thank you for that. That was a great answer. I couldn't come up with.
That's why I'm here, and you're not just by yourself.
Yes, thank you.
But the one example I heard of the different levels of knowledge is, you learn something, you learn about it, but then once you progress to the highest highest level of knowledge and wisdom is how to challenge and how to work around a thing. So a full and complete understanding is, you've fully submersed yourself in the knowledge of it, and then you can then apply it, and you can then use it. You know how it works in any and all circumstances. So
if you went to college, you would be like, I need knowledge to go be a computer scientist.
Right. Yeah. You know that A plus B equals C.
Right. And you have the information to do it. Mm-hmm. I want to be a bricklayer. You take this, take that, take the other thing. Bada bing, bada boom, because they're all Italian.
Right.
Bada bing. Yeah. You got a thing over there, and you put it over there with that thing, and you're going to have a wall.
Yeah.
That's knowledge.
Right.
Wisdom is different.
Uh-huh. And we're still trying to figure out what that means.
Well, I think wisdom is from God, and wisdom helps you to figure out things that are just, there's like no real answer. Mm-hmm. There's no, you can't pull it up in an encyclopedia. Okay, or an encyclopedia. Do they even have that? You can't Google it.
You can't Google it. There you go. You're learning.
I remember we used to have these big
giant novels of just knowledge.
Yeah.
Just straight up information in a book.
I think I used it once. But every family, they're like, when our kids were growing up, they're like, don't you want some encyclopedias? You're going to hold your children back.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's gone.
That's gone. So wisdom, for me to have wisdom is to say, I'm going to go buy this car, and I have the money, so it's not about that.
Right.
But should I? And why should I buy this car or spend this money or not spend this money? Mm-hmm. And wisdom is more like, and I'll just make up in a scenario, wisdom is like, well, the car that you have is like 2 years old. it's got 10,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
We're having a presidential election, and the stock market may be going good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
And you're not. You're going to have a child in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You might not want to spend that extra $30,000.
Yeah.
And so wisdom helps you make decisions that are there's no real right or wrong answer.
Right.
But there is.
Well, also in the book of Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom, which is, the practical application of all these deep, spiritual concepts about wealth and about interactions with other people and worship of God. Wisdom is often described as a woman, the Lady Wisdom, as this.
He kept on talking about that today.
Yeah, it's like, it's not just this thing that you get. It's this spirit, really. It's this feminine spirit. And it's like, well, you treat a lady with respect. You have a certain way that you approach, Lady Wisdom. And so it's often said that, wisdom is kind of like, with courtship, and you respect a lady in a certain way. Wisdom is often handled in a certain respectable way.
Okay.
Right? Like you were saying, don't be reckless with your money. Right? Wisdom is being careful. It's being methodical. It's being well thought out and respecting, for the example of money, the resources that you have and stewarding them well.
Right.
And it's a deep level of understanding and application of what you know to be true.
So there's a couple of verses. Wisdom comes from God, which we said in James 1:5. It says, if any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. Which, what does that mean? Without finding, like, he's like, okay, you dummy.
You dumb idiot.
Don't you know this answer? I told you this yesterday, and it will be given to you. Yeah. Our God is the ultimate source of wisdom, and he invites us to seek it daily. And so Solomon, he's like, okay, you put me in charge of all these things. Really, all I need is wisdom. I just don't know. It's like I've never been, like today, I've never written a book.
Yeah.
I've never published a book.
Right.
I've never even
read a book.
I've never thought about it until now that I have these two things and I need to go to it. And so wisdom is like, you have this knowledge, or you've been down this path that I've never known before. And so it's asking for wisdom. It's like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Because you're allowed to not know.
Yeah.
You're not expected to know, but God will reward you, and He gives graciously, and He wants you to ask for wisdom. He wants you to ask for wisdom.
And okay, got an example. And I might have mentioned this. So we had 3 kids, and we lived at Grandma's house.
Right.
Remember I told this story? We lived next door to Ellen, my mother-in-law. And I couldn't afford to move out, and we couldn't kick Grandma out of her house, okay, which I tried. It didn't work. But we couldn't do it, and I had no clue. And so I went down the basement, and I'm like, God, I have no clue what to do. I need your wisdom.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I got an answer. It's like, you just need to go talk to Eleanor. And her mom and me really didn't get along that well because I stole her daughter, and I got her pregnant. Now for the 4th time, which
not so happy about.
She was not happy about it. Joyce is an only child. Her dad's an only child. But anyway, you're an only child. Yeah. Maybe that's a curse. Maybe that's my burden.
The curse of only children. We keep showing up in your life and going, ew, no siblings.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, so I went next door and I said, Eleanor, I don't know what to do. I said, this is where we're at. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. She ended up moving Grandma over to her house, sold her the house for a great deal, and it worked out for another 10 years. It was like amazing. Everything was beautiful for another 10 years. And so if you lack wisdom, we often think God doesn't want to be bothered with that. Or am I just saying, am I being stupid?
And so it's a vulnerability of asking for the wisdom because you don't have all the tools yourself.
There you go.
And so it seems, from what I'm hearing, is wisdom is a journey. Wisdom is this walk where it's you certainly learn something new, and now you've got this new kind of wisdom in your tool belt. You know, you didn't have it before, now you do, to put it simply.
Right.
And the wisdom of asking people who do know. We are have-nots and there are haves, and we can ask the haves for the areas that we lack.
So let's go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we live in a world that has that confused for like unbelievers? So you as being, let's talk as a Christian, or maybe a new Christian, or someone that's sitting there listening going, what are you saying, I'm stupid? No. Just because I didn't go to college? Or you're saying that these people have degrees, are smarter, and they have wisdom?
Yeah. Well, you can have knowledge. You can certainly have a great wealth of knowledge, and I would say you can know quite a bit, but it does say pretty clearly in the beginning of Proverbs, it outlines what wisdom is. Proverbs 1:7, it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge."
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
What does that mean, the fear? So I have to be afraid of God all the time?
Oh,
is he going to strike me dead?
No.
If I screw this up, he's going to, because that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
If I screw this up,
yeah, fear of the
he's
Lord.
He's going to kill me.
Well, fear of the Lord it's a reverence. You know, we have only so many words in our English language to translate the original, whether it be Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic, that these words were written in. And so they had this word in Hebrew and in Aramaic that they used a lot to describe how we should come before God. And the best word that we had for that in the English language was fear.
Okay.
You know how words can have multiple different meanings?
Yeah.
This is one of those. And fear, I mean, it says like make out your repentance with fear and trembling. It says to, approach God and to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. It's like, well, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you. God.
Thank you.
That's what we're here. Yeah. Thanks for asking, Chris. I'll tell you. So our God is not this sappy, lovey-dovey, gushy, happy kumbaya, right? Our God is power and fire and light and glory and awe-inspiring. It's greater than anything we can comprehend.
I read something in the Bible this morning, in my Bible, where God says, I'm going to reveal myself to you, but you're going to have to hide in this rock.
Moses,
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, had to hide his face. And he says, don't look at my face.
Right.
But you can look at, as I go by, because it'll burn you up. It's
exactly
so powerful.
That's God. And so a fear of God is to look at that power and that awe and glory and to have a respectful reverence, knowing that its place is above you and that you are beneath it, right? And that's like putting your head down with your hands up and completely surrendering to it. And that's what fear is. It's a special kind of reverence and respect for God. And so the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The beginning of wisdom is what it says specifically, and wisdom is the application of that knowledge. So the difference between knowledge and wisdom, all that to say, is when you have wisdom, you have a fear and reverence for God, knowing that he is above you and all true wisdom comes from him. So when you put God on the proper pedestal above yourself, and you know that he giveth exactly what you need, exactly what you need to know, that's the beginning of wisdom. You know where God is, you know where you are, you receive from him, you just surrender to it.
I'll say a Celebrate Recovery statement.
Yeah.
You're God, I'm not.
Yeah. Simple.
Wait, how's it go? I'm not God. You're okay. Jeez, oh man, see.
You're supposed to know these things, Chris. Yeah, clearly you need some wisdom, Chris. You need some knowledge first.
But it goes on to say, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Because they think that they're the one on the pedestal, not God.
So that's pride.
It is pride. That's foolishness.
Yeah.
We don't have it all figured out, is all that to say.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of times you get prideful. You're like, shut up. I know these answers.
I'm good. I'm good. I know what I need.
I look at it as the fear of the Lord is like, I actually believe that he can do whatever he wants to do.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And so knowing that and that his mercy is really, I mean, I'm a broken down, dysfunctional, generational problem.
Yeah.
I'm being nice to myself. I couldn't, but I grew up. I got generational alcoholism in my family.
Sure.
I got generational, negativity in my family. I've got, you name it.
You name it, you've got it.
But God, when I was 21 years old, when I was 20 years old, gave me an opportunity to get out of that, to break the chain. And here's what all he said. Don't drink.
That's it?
Well, that's it.
That was really it?
That's it. It's like, don't drink.
Okay.
And that, you mean to tell me everything's going to change?
Really? Wow.
And so I didn't drink. And guess what?
And everything got better.
Everything changed.
Everything. Well, it changed.
So it all started with me getting on my knees and saying, God, I have this problem. I have this addiction. I don't know how to get out of it.
Right.
And that's where the humility comes in. And so even today, you know how I can get on these stories,
Oh, yeah.
My son gave a message on how that decision changed the trajectory of his whole life and the lives of the people that he's preaching to in California. Because had I not done that, he wouldn't have been born.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been a Christian.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be hearing the gospel.
Thank God for all that.
So there's this, when you do those things and you follow that, and I fortunately haven't picked up a drink since that. I mean, I've got a lot of other issues that I haven't worked out.
Yeah.
But that one piece of information changed everything.
Yeah.
Here's where the problem is.
Okay.
As we get older, we start thinking, well, yeah, I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm not, I got a job and I'm able to keep it.
Right.
Why do I need wisdom? And I think as you get older, I mean, you've learned just in the 22 short years, 23?
23, yeah.
23 short years.
Yeah.
How things have changed just in the last couple of years.
Right.
Including today.
Even from back in from 2000 to 2025, things are astronomically different. Multiple degrees of change have happened since then till now, right? And that's like you were saying earlier, a lot of times older people, unfortunately, are unwilling to adapt to new things that are true. Like, you're not going to find the answer in the Yellow Pages. You know why? Because the Yellow Pages does not exist.
Yeah, they quit making that.
You're not even going to find the answer on your PC. You know why? Because now your PC's in your pocket. See, multiple things have changed thus from the Yellow Pages to all the way to an iPhone now. And you got to adapt with the new
And we live in a world that says, well, I can go to my phone, though, and get knowledge.
Right. You can get knowledge off your phone.
But can I get wisdom?
Can you get wisdom? That's the tricky question.
It could be the same answer, but one's coming from a divine.
Well, the source of all wisdom is God. If we believe that, then it doesn't come from my iPhone. It comes from the Lord.
So if I believe it's coming from God, I would be more. See, if it's coming from my iPhone, I'm like, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. You mean to tell me, admitting, the success of Alcoholics Anonymous is based on one thing. Until you admit that you're powerless over alcohol, you'll never get better. Until you admit you're powerless over porn, you'll never get better. Until you admit you're powerless over whatever, you will not get better.
Oh, yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yes. It's backwards, right? I'm the bigger man.
Wait, don't I pull myself up by my bootstraps?
I can do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, admitting that your problem has power over you, but that it doesn't need to continue to, right?
Yeah.
That would be the first step.
Yeah.
The first step of all knowledge is fear of the Lord.
So let's talk to people that are like new believers or struggling with something. If I want wisdom, who's that guy that dunked in the water?
John the Baptist?
No, the guy that had leprosy. And
in the Bible?
Yeah, and the prophet came out, and he didn't even come out. He sent an errand boy. He says, go dunk yourself in the Jordan River.
Elijah.
Yeah, and he told that Nehemiah?
Nehum.
Nehum. He told him to go.
Okay,
he went to go say, I got this psoriasis, or I got this leprosy.
Right.
And I'm going to do I brought all this money and everything else like that. And I'm going to go get his knowledge how to fix this.
Right.
And I'm going to pay for it.
Yep.
And he's like, nah, just go dunk yourself in the Jordan.
Yeah.
And he's like,
that's it?
That's bull crap, man. I ain't dunking myself in the...
Yeah.
He gave him wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom and obedience.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Yeah.
Are kind of hand in hand.
Well, wisdom is oftentimes a very simple thing. Like you read in Proverbs and you read through and it's like, well, this is all so simple. This can't be like, you mean to tell me Solomon was the smartest man in the world? It's like, this is so rudimentary, but it truly is. Like if you read through the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew, one of the most famous passages in the Bible, there's like one part of it that talks about, anxiety. Do not worry.
Okay.
Do not fear. You know what the answer is to not have anxiety?
What?
Don't have anxiety. Do not fear. Do not worry.
Just stop it.
Just stop it. Well, because we overcomplicate things, right? We want knowledge. We want, how do I do this? What are the steps? How do I? Do not fear. Look at the flowers. They don't fear. Look at the birds. They don't fear. And you're going, but wait, I want to do this and all this, and I need to know. I need to go to four-year university.
Yeah, there's got to be.
If I bury myself in these books, there's got to be a solution all the way down at the bottom of these thousands of pages. This secret wisdom, this secret knowledge. Where do I need to go to find? Just don't fear. Just dunk yourself in the Jordan River. You don't need to give me all that money and do all these things.
And he's like, no, that's bullcrap, man. I'm not going to do it. And then a child slave goes, or servant, says, had he told you to do this great thing, wouldn't you have done this?
Exactly. See, it was the simple one that told him, no, here's the answer.
Yeah. And so wisdom is like, it's just, I want to say easy.
You know what I think of when I hear of wisdom? I think, a wise old man. You can do whatever you want. It's your podcast. I think of a wise old man. Like Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid.
Love that guy.
Well, because he was the wisest teacher of karate. What did he teach? Wax on. Wax off. And it's like, Karate Kid, well, what am I supposed? I'm supposed to do all this, and how am I supposed to get here? He goes, no.
You mean to tell me?
Wax on, wax off. That's it. And it was simple. The wisest man oftentimes, I'm doing the Trump hand. The wisest man oftentimes teaches the simplest concepts, but it's literally just that. It's sometimes the simplest things that we oftentimes, like you get this all the time. I do it myself from sermons. It's things we already know that are simple, but we just need to be told it and go, hey, dunce, you need to do this. And you go, oh, I overcomplicated that.
Yeah.
Wisdom is just fear God. He knows the answer and I don't.
Don't pick up a drink.
That's it.
Been doing don't pick up a drink today for 45 years.
Right. But that's
crazy.
Again, I think of like a wise old simple man that like speaks in these cryptic little passages of like 8 words and that's it. And it's just, you do this and that's the answer.
And so going down this path, so you got someone that's like, feels like the world's going insane. I heard someone explain it. They're like, you got this side that's like, this is the worst thing that ever happened. You got these people going, this is the best thing that ever happened. And vice versa. The same people were 4 months ago were saying the exact opposite. Yeah. And so we live in a world that I never lived in 2025 before. I was never 23 wanting to publish a book.
Right. Yeah. I've never been here before in this position I'm in.
And so what do you do? What's the advice?
What's the advice? You take it one step at a time, one day at a time. That's literally, one of these next points here is walking in wisdom every day, redeeming the time. Every moment is an opportunity to honor God or align your actions and decisions with God's guidance. See, the worry and the stress of, I've never been in this exact moment. It is February 23rd, 2025. It's 3:55 p.m. I've never been in this moment before. What do I do? I don't know how to do it. Well, you don't need to do it. Just align your actions and decisions with God's guidance, and He will walk with you every step. He will show you where to go.
So if you want wisdom, start with God.
Start with God.
And ask Him to say, I've never been here before.
Yeah.
I really want to do better.
Sure.
I mean, because I don't think any request is unreasonable. And when you do ask, you'll know if it is.
Yeah.
It's like, well, God, if you give me this lottery winning, then everything will be fine. It's like, well, no, you're basically saying that this is, you're actually using God as a vending machine.
Right.
Do you know what that is?
A vending machine?
Yeah.
I know what a vending machine is. Yeah, it's the thing you pay with your phone, right? Vending machine, you tap your phone on the vending machine, it gives you candy.
Yeah.
What's a quarter? I've never heard of quarters.
Yeah, quarters, yeah.
No, but that's a relational God, you know?
Yeah.
That's a I give and then you give back, right? And
it's a transaction.
Exactly.
It's a transaction. Yeah.
God doesn't work like that.
So the other part, we're going back and forth, sorry. It's lifelong learning.
Yeah.
I would think as a young person, there's nothing more frustrating than talking to an old guy going, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what's going on. Does that frustrate young people? When
it comes to specific things of like what's going on now, it can be. Because it's like, hey, like that's why there was the whole meme of like, okay, boomer. You remember that? Where it was like, okay, dismissing the older generation as like, you don't know anything. Okay. I know what's going on because I'm keeping up with the times. I know what's going on out in the world, and you're just stuck in your old ways. So, okay, whatever, boomer. And that's, I mean, to a point, that's some of it's wrong, but some of it's true as well. Like, you know, you get on now X, and you're like, wow, this is this great new thing. I'm like, it's been around forever.
For a long time.
You just haven't gotten into it yet until now. Yeah. Like, I know what's going on with new modern technology and with the news and what does this mean and what is that? What is this celebrity doing? A lot of times it's useless knowledge, but I am up to date with the knowledge. And, you know, if you're unwilling to adapt to the times, like part of the reason why, unfortunately, a lot of these denomination churches are crumbling and dying is because they're not adapting.
They're saying, no, this is the way we've always done it, and it's worked for us.
Right. Yeah, well, you get the newsletter for the church.
1975.
Right. Yeah. The newsletter for the church is mailed to my door.
My dad finally let my mom let us buy bell bottoms. He's like, we ain't having no bell bottoms in my house. Yeah. My mom finally goes, Bill, they don't sell straight legs anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's some
But you're still stuck on that idea.
Yeah. Because some things adapt and change. And wisdom is knowing that things change and they're beyond you and they're above you, and you got to acknowledge your place in that. And some things move on from you, and that's okay.
So if you were to say to someone like me, certainly not me, but if you were to say to an older person, let me just give you advice about when it comes to sharing your wisdom without being arrogant, without coming across like you've done it all. My way's the only way, and that the world has changed, that you would listen to an older person. Because we have older people listening, and they're like, I don't know how to talk to a young person. I don't know how to care. I don't know how to pass on my wisdom.
Right.
So what would be a good way for them to do that?
That's a really good question. I would say, I don't know if I have an answer for one definitive way to teach any younger person how to receive wisdom or how to live a certain way. But what I would say that you could do for any young person, if you're older and you want to teach them, is first listen. Because every young person comes from a different background. They have different experiences. A lot of times they want to be heard. And if you listen to them, you're going to know exactly what it is that they're going through. I mean, all of my mentor figures in my life, the best ones, they listen to what I'm experiencing and they go, oh, I've been in that situation before. And I know what you're feeling because I listened to what you just told me. This is what I did. And it's not, you're not, barreling into the conversation immediately. Well, I overheard you over there talking about this. You know what I did? You should do this, this, and this, because it's...
Back in my day.
Exactly. The whole back in my day, we walked uphill in the snow both ways to school. And it's like, I don't think that's physically possible, but...
I'll go with it.
Right. Yeah. Listen first. Hear what they're going through and experiencing. And that's really what a lot of the younger generation wants, is to be heard and to be listened to, because we're all about our feelings and we all want to be heard. And obviously there's a truth to that, and there's merit to that. But listen first, understand where they're coming from, and then you probably do have some wisdom and some experience that would be able to speak perfectly into them. But don't come into it with the assumption that you know everything.
And that if you don't do it my way, then you rejected me. The truth is that you just give them what you have.
Yeah.
It's up to them. This guy told me one time with one of my sons, and I think I've shared it. He says he's got the right to be right, and he's also got a right to be wrong.
Hey, yeah.
And my job is just go, hey, man, do you want this information? I would say the opposite is that I would hope that, I think for especially older men, I just want to be respectful. And it's like, okay, I'm going to listen to you. Okay, thank you. That's a great idea. Yeah. And then you could just go do whatever. Because sometimes you get people, they're just like, that's just stupid.
Right.
And you're like, well, I get it.
Yeah.
But I have survived a number of years.
I'm here still.
And I think in our case, I think I can share this freely.
Mm-hmm.
I have a respect for Will, and he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm allowed to say stuff.
Say whatever you want.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't insult you. And when I do say something wrong, you're going, okay, whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's water off a duck's back.
Right. But because I respect you for who you are.
Yes.
And I think for older people, I'm saying that you have to figure out how to respect them for what they do know and what they do, because everybody just wants to be respected.
Yeah.
And so when I want to share the wisdom I have, I have to be respectful that they may not be ready to even hear it.
Sure. And a lot of that is, understanding, and like you said, having a respect for my understanding that I do know things. I do have knowledge. It's just not the kind of knowledge that you're accustomed to.
I mean, everybody would agree that you're probably smarter than me. And intellectually, you are. You're smarter than me. But ultimately, you drive a 1962 Chevy Impala.
It gets older every year.
And I have 2 brand new cars in a nice condo. So obviously something has changed in my life that you don't know about yet.
Sure, yeah.
And so my goal is to help you to, when it comes time to figure out how to do whatever it is you want to do, if I've been part of that, I get to participate. And that's what's great about being older. I get to participate in the 23-year-old's life. Now, we do, believe it or not, we do not call each other every other day and say, hey, whatever. I mean, we talk on Sundays, okay?
Yeah, that's...
And maybe during the week I might get a text, or he might text me. And
right. Hey,
I probably won't answer him.
You don't? What's going on at Costco? Do they sell this? And 13 hours later,
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Now go away. I'll see you on Sunday.
But the reality is that I get to participate in a young person's life.
Yeah.
I get to do a podcast, which I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. And we get to do something in a way that I feel valued. And so, but I also have to ask God for wisdom,
right,
how to talk to Will and how to treat him with respect, because Will grew up was born in 1990.
2001.
91?
2001.
2001?
I know, right? started to make you feel old. My due date was...
I was sitting there watching the Twin Towers fall down when you weren't even born yet.
I was 5 days old. My due date was 9/11/2001. Thank God my birthday is actually September 6, 2001.
I got jeans in my closet then from 2001. They don't fit anymore.
You got things in this home that are older than me. Yeah, no, seriously, you do. But I think all this to say, this conversation is what we've learned about wisdom, a huge part of it. It's not the whole definition of wisdom, but a huge part of it is respect. Yeah. It's knowing your place. It is taking a step back. It's humbling yourself. Wisdom is humbling yourself and realizing that there are things that are either different than you, that are higher than you, being God, or, that are completely other than you.
Yeah. And
having wisdom is knowing where those things are in your relationship to those, whether it be other people, younger people, or God, and how I can interact with those other things in the most respectful way possible.
All that glorifies God. If you want wisdom, ask God, and He'll bring you a 23-year-old into your life, and then you're like, okay, I don't know how that works out, God, but let's go with it.
Sure. And here we are.
And here you are. Ask God.
Ask God, seek, and ye shall find.
Go figure.
Go figure.
Bye.
See ya.